Jake Tapper pretty much got ripped a new one yesterday, even by allies in the media, over his attempt to rewrite history with regard to his own participation in lying about Joe Biden and his decline. That was a big part of our show yesterday. We're not going to delve too far into it. Watch that video from yesterday. It lays it all out. But something happened on Jake's network yesterday on CNN that is fascinating to observe. Chuck Schumer, part of the problem, one of the guys who lied, who attacked Republicans for even suggesting that maybe Joe Biden has, missed a step or something. Not only did he destroy and lampoon and attack Republicans for, telling the truth, but now he's never owned up to it. We're told that he was part of the behind-the-scenes effort to get Biden off the ticket. He still hasn't said anything truthful or frank at all about his participation. So he appeared on CNN with Kasie Hunt, and believe it or not, he lied. He spent the entire time saying that the Trump administration is trying to defund and bankrupt Medicare and Medicaid. So now watch what happens when Kasie Hunt says, well, what about Biden?
I really do want to ask you about something that has been breaking out of CNN. Our Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson have written a book called Original Sin, and they call it a cover-up of Biden's health and his cognition and his fitness, quite frankly, to be president of the United States. You sat next to Biden in the Oval Office February 27th, 2024, just a handful of months before the president took that debate stage. And it was later reported that you and other Democratic leaders were talking before the debate about having a plan. You and Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama. I understand you later denied that that ever happened. But I am curious, I'm interested to know whether the man that you saw sitting there on that couch on that day, you were in there, you saw him up close and personal. Did you really not have any idea that he was not fit to serve a second term?
Kasie, we're looking forward. We have the largest Medicaid cut in front of us. We have the whole federal
you're
government
facing all
at
of this
risk.
because you lost a presidential election. And is that not Joe Biden's responsibility for deciding to run again?
We're looking forward.
That's it?
That's it.
All right. Senator Chuck Schumer, I know you got to go.
Love that. Love that hard-hitting journalism, Kasie Hunt. Oh, is that it? Oh, okay. Well, then I'll just leave it at that. See, but here's what Kasie, cute old Kasie there, and Chuck Schumer and anyone else working at CNN don't quite get about this entire story. You see, Schumer says that he wants to look ahead and not look in the rearview mirror because he'd rather talk about how Trump is cutting Medicaid. But see, here's the problem. Trump says that's a lie. Republicans say that's a lie. Who are you going to believe? Chuck Schumer right there is caught in one of the most dastardly, monumental lies in modern American history, where we had an incapacitated president. Forget about him being a candidate. See, this book and all the conversation is, wow, he was a terrible candidate. It's why Trump won. It was like, no, I don't give a crap about him being a candidate and how he did in the election. He was president of the United States. And all these people, including Chuck Schumer, said, we can't have him on the ticket because we're going to lose. Never then followed through with the next point, which was, and oh, by the way, he shouldn't live in the White House. He shouldn't work in the Oval Office, and he shouldn't have his finger on the button. Because Joe Biden was not just a candidate for the Democrats. He was the president of the United States and the leader of the free world and the commander-in-chief of our armed forces. Troops died under his watch, and they knew he couldn't do the job. And so when Chuck Schumer says, no, I'd rather talk about how Republicans want to cut Medicare and Medicaid, the obvious reaction for us is, you are a liar. You lied about Biden, and until you face that reality and give some kind of explanation, even if your explanation is, listen, we hate Trump. We wanted to beat Trump. We were willing to lie about Biden so we could beat Trump. That's honest. That's the truth. But they can't do it. But until someone is willing to step and do that, there is no reason why you or Kasie Hunt or any other member of the media or any person on this planet should believe any damn thing they say about anything. whether it's going to rain today or not, or whether the Republicans are going to cut Medicare and Medicaid. I'm not going to answer that question. You caught me in a lie, and I refuse to admit it, and I refuse to answer any questions about it. Let's get back to my talking points. Well, as far as I'm concerned, your talking points are all bullshit because you're a liar, a proven liar, and there's no reason to have you on the air. I mean, that should be what Kasie Hunt and CNN does, but instead, how did they finish this up?
Well, I appreciate your time today. We'll see you soon, I hope. Thank you.
Yes, I hope to see you soon so you can lie to me and to all of our viewers again. That's amazing. But this is what's going on CNN right now. And they're promoting the hell out of this book because it's one of their own who wrote it. And they're not even recognizing that as long as they continue to sort of try to blame the White House or Biden or the Democrats, they refuse to acknowledge not only their participation in it and Jake Tapper's participation, but also the fact that they're perpetuating the distrust in the media by continuing to have these Democrats on the air to lie. Because if they lie about that, they'll lie about anything.
The fact that he was only concerned about the optics and not about the fact that the president of the United States might be in cognitive decline, might be mentally impaired, to me speaks volumes about the lack of character of Chuck Schumer. But the idea that we did not know about this for the years leading up to the presidential campaign, we all saw it with our own eyes. Video after video, speech after speech, statement after statement. The Hur report. The fact that we have people saying today, oh, I didn't know. We had no idea, is outrageous. That's number one. Number two, the cover-up is outrageous. And number three, people were arguing with a straight face that this man could serve 4 more years until, of course, it became untenable at the debate. Honestly, Jake and Alex have done a great service here. This book needs to be written. These stories need to be told because we've lived through the greatest scandal in modern American political history, the cover-up of the decline of the president, the argument that he could serve 4 more years. If he were in office today, if he had somehow won and were in office today, you'd have the same people on TV today saying, he's fine. So, behind closed doors, he's fine, and you know it.
Yeah, and one other little bit of subtext here for Scott Jennings, who obviously is always marvelous, but at the same time has to sort of walk a tightrope here, considering Jake Tapper, the worst offender of all of this, who's profiting from these lies, is also one of the top anchors on that network. So I get it, Scott. That's the trouble when you're taking a paycheck from people like CNN. But let me give you this context here that probably most people aren't going to pick up on. You see this split screen here, the woman on the right of your screen. Hey, Kevin, you know her name? That's Neera Tanden, isn't it? Isn't that Neera Tanden?
I don't think so.
It's not? Are you sure?
No, I don't think so. I'm not 100% positive, but I'm like 90% sure it's not.
Oh, I thought it was. Thanks for saving me on that because I was quite sure. Oh, you're right. It's not Neera Tanden. I forget what this woman's name is. All right, never mind. But Neera Tanden, the reason I raised Neera Tanden is that she's often on this panel. She's often one of the club there sitting around this table. She's often a CNN commentator who's now, I believe, working back where she started, which was the Center for American Progress. Then she had to take a leave of absence for Center for American Progress because then she went to go work for the Biden White House. She was a senior advisor. Then she was White House staff secretary. Then she was the domestic policy advisor and director of the United States Domestic Policy Council, another one of those money laundering firms where your tax dollars get sent for political action. She's one of the people that they always bring in and comment on this stuff. So the problem is as long as CNN, I'm like, any single person who worked in the Biden White House should not be allowed to be an employee or a guest on any of these political analyst shows unless they are willing to be grilled about their participation in the great lie. Meanwhile, you flip your channel over to MSNBC and one of their primetime shows is hosted by Jen Psaki, who was the architect of the cover-up as the White House press spokesperson. Here's Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer, who you just saw, lie to the CNN audience. Here's what he was like earlier in the year, last year, before we all, well, I was about to say before we all knew the truth. We all knew the truth about Joe Biden, but before it was acknowledged openly. by Chuck and by his cohorts.
When I talk to President Biden, regularly, sometimes several times in a week, or usually several times in a week, his mental acuity is great. It's fine. It's as good as it's been over the years. I've been speaking to him for 30 years since we worked on the Brady bill and the assault weapons ban when I was a young congressman. He's fine. All this right-wing propaganda that his mental acuity is declined is wrong. He's going to win the election.
You said in June of last year, in my meetings with President Biden, I found him being command and impressive and wielding influence to make progress on key priorities. But in that same month, Biden apparently did not even recognize George Clooney at a fundraiser. Were you being straight with the American public?
Look, we're just looking forward.
That's all he's got. We're looking forward. By the way, I don't know who that reporter was. For good for him. You said he was fine. You said he was great. You said that he's never been better. And anyone who suggests otherwise is guilty of right-wing propaganda. Were you being truthful with the American people? And the only answer is we're just looking forward. Let me translate that for you because I speak politician. The answer is no, I was not being truthful. I'm a liar. I'm
Hey,
Chuck
Larry?
Schumer. Yes, sir.
That reporter was Manu Raju, and the only reason from CNN,
Manu Raju.
only reason he's doing that is so that he can push Jake Tapper's book.
He's
He wouldn't
helping
ask
Jake.
that otherwise.
Good point, Kevin. Absolutely. And thank you for that. Manu Raju, the only reason he would suddenly ask a tough question. Also, actually, there's two reasons. Kevin, you're right. It's to push Jake Tapper's book. But the other reason is that the lefties, they want to get rid of Chuck Schumer. They're fine going after Chuck Schumer now because they don't like Chuck Schumer. They want AOC to run for his seat. That's the other reason. So now here's something remarkable that happened back to the CNN show with Kasie Hunt. You saw her say, "Oh, that's it? Okay. Well, love you. We'll see you again. Can't wait to have you back so you can lie to everybody here because you're Chuck Schumer. We don't mind that. In fact, bring your lying buddy Adam Schiff. We have him on all the time. And he told our audience that he had seen evidence about Russian collusion. And well, that was a lie, but we love Adam Schiff too. Schiff and Schumer, you guys can have a primetime show here at CNN if you'd like. We don't care. So then watch what happens next, because Schumer's gone. And as usual, they turn to their panel of experts, and the panel of experts are always Trump haters. Even the one Republican they've got there is Jonah Goldberg still a Republican? I don't know if he is, but he's a Trump hater too. And Chuck Todd, formerly of NBC News, decides that he's got a different Chuck in his sights. It's Chuck on Chuck crime, baby. Watch Chuck Todd go after Chuck Schumer.
All right, Senator Chuck Schumer, I know you got to go. I appreciate your time today. We'll see you soon, I hope. Thank you.
Take care.
All right. And our panel joins us now. CNN political commentator Jonah Goldberg, the host of the Chuck Toddcast, Chuck Todd, Democratic strategist Paul Begala, Republican pollster Kristen Soltis Anderson, both CNN political commentators. Chuck Todd, go.
He is among the people that are responsible for this. The leaders of the Democratic Party, the staff of the White House. And I have to say, I find everybody now talking to these authors, get out of here. Go home. You're part of the problem. Now you tell us. So I find, the reason why the Democratic Party has less credibility today. Here's an unpopular president, and the Democratic Party has a worse rating than the Republican Party with this catastrophic governance that we've seen over the last 120 days. And yet, why is the Democratic Party in worse shape? Because of this distrust, because of this, frankly, what the public feels as if the party leadership let them down and let this happen. He's as responsible as anybody else. He was a leader in the party. He could have said something sooner.
Yeah, and he didn't. All right, so a couple of things here. First of all, again, I want to reiterate, they're all going after Jay. It's like, my God, Chuck Todd's going after Chuck Schumer. That's huge. Is Chuck Todd changing? Is Chuck Todd finally? No, he's a lefty. And the lefties feel completely empowered to go after Chuck Schumer because they're mad at him for caving on the potential government shutdown a few months ago. That helped Trump. It helped Mike Johnson. It helped Republicans in the House. And Chuck Schumer screwed them. And so now they want to get rid of him. They hate Chuck Schumer. So they're fine going after Chuck Schumer. So don't think that this is some sea change for Chuck Todd, okay? But there's a couple of other little things here at the very beginning that we have to re-examine as Chuck Todd, accidentally stumbles on a piece of honest analysis here. First, watch Kasie Hunt as she finishes this interview.
All right, Senator Chuck Schumer, I know you got to go. I appreciate your time today. We'll see you soon, I hope. Thank you.
Take care.
All right. And our panel joins us now.
Look at the rolling eyes. Did you see that move? It's like, okay, thanks, Chuck. Oh boy, can you believe what this guy just did? Ma'am, if you are dumbfounded by what just came out of your guest's mouth, the most powerful Democrat elected official in Washington, D.C., then why don't you say that to him? She's doing all of these eye-rolling faces. Like she's like, whoa, can you believe the crap he just spewed? Hey, instead of turning to your panel and virtue signaling to the audience that, hey, you get it, you know that he's full of crap. Hey, I got an idea. How about you look at the guest that you've got on the air and say, nobody's buying this, Mr. Senator. And you're embarrassing and insulting me and every one of our viewers. But she tries to have it both ways. Oh, I'm so smart. I'm in the club. I know that he's lying, but I'm still going to glad hand him and give him whatever he wants when he's on my show.
I hope. Thank you.
Take care.
All right. And our panel joins us now. CNN political commentator Jonah Goldberg, the host of the Chuck Toddcast, Chuck Todd.
The guy on the left hates Donald Trump, and the guy on the right hates Donald Trump. Let's see how else this panel goes.
Democratic strategist Paul Begala, Republican pollster Kristen Solti.
The guy on the left really hates Donald Trump, and the woman on the right, who calls herself a Republican analyst, is also a never Trumper. I don't know if she hates Donald Trump, but she's highly critical of Donald Trump. This is your CNN political panel after that moment. So you know everyone's going to really tell it like it is.
Altus Anderson, both CNN political commentators. Chuck Todd, go.
He is among the people that are responsible for this. The leaders of the Democratic Party, the staff of the White House. And I have to say, I find everybody now talking to these authors, get out of here.
Okay, so I just feel like it needs to be said because nobody on that panel would certainly say it. And I mean, there's no reason why you should remember this because it was a good 2 years ago. But for the most of the Biden presidency, when Joe Biden was a dithering, bumbling, incompetent, mentally diminished, and physically incapacitated man sitting in the most powerful position in Western civilization, that guy right there was the host of Meet the Press. I know, it's surprising. It's been a while. It hasn't been too long, though. It's only been about 1.5 years or 2 years before he was moved aside for Kristen Welker. He was the host of Meet the Press, not only every Sunday on NBC News, but daily on MSNBC. If only he had some sort of position of influence or power, some sort of, platform, so that he could utilize the resources of the Peacock News Network to actually get to the bottom of this and get to the truth. But I guess he was incapable of that. But I'm glad that he's outraged now. This is outrageous. These people are the problem. These people didn't tell the truth. These people lied. You're a reporter. You have the resources of NBC News and the platform of Meet the Press to use. And you bought it hook, line, and sinker. You just regurgitated their lies. I mean, I don't know what's worse. See, I don't expect much from a politician. I expect politicians to lie to me. You call yourself a reporter. No, excuse me. You call yourself a journalist with a capital J. Well, in my book, the J stands for something else, Chuck, because you accepted it. You bought every single word of what they had to say, and now you feign outrage. Chuck Todd, like Jake Tapper, like Kasie Hunt, like everyone else in the corporate legacy media, they are the bigger problem than just a lying politician.